I've been very interested in what they call clown flaps. I know that sounds funny. No, it's not what you think it is. But this idea of these manifestations of clowns that appear. Now, these are quite significant because these are kind of disturbances in reality that are, for whatever reason, cause people to dress up in clowns and appear everywhere. They're very significant. Now, when these clown flaps were happening a few months ago in the US, right before the US presidential election, I knew it was extremely significant. The clowns are the jester archetype is the disruptor of the matrix. This is why Loki is so important in Scandinavian lore, and why the jester and the fool card is and the joker is so important within the Western esoteric tradition. The joker is this symbolism, the symbol of the enunciation of the things to come. Like he's almost like a John the Baptist figure. He is the he in many ways represents the stepping into the archetypal changes. For instance, like in the biblical tradition, which was all bullshit and made up anyway. So it's based on classical sort of esoteric, understandings from previous traditions. John the Baptist appears on the scene as the Baptist to prepare the way for the arrival of Jesus. Well, the same thing happened with the clowns in the US election. They were that kind of archetype preparing the way for the arrival of Kek, the resurrection of the ancient Egyptian god through memetics and through the kind of work that groups like 4chan were doing. And also, in general, the overall sort of pro Trump side in the USA. The clown frap was the indicator of the jester archetype. Now, one of the things about Trump is he has the jester archetype in absolute spades. He's actually very funny, and if you watch many of his things, his humor is what carries the day for him and rescues him in many positions. He like humor is subjective. It's one of these unfortunate things that humor is subjective, and it often doesn't translate very well, like sarcasm, beyond the initial manifest. So, for instance, like I would jokingly call one of my friends, "You get out of here, you fucking cunt!" Like as a joke. That's how we talk to each other. That's how Irish people talk to each other. Yeah, like it's very common for I grew up, there's someone to hug their friend and say, "I love you, you fucking smelly cunt." To say things like that. It's a kind of affection. But to someone who wasn't, familiar with that convention, it would say, "Did you just hear that? He just called someone a fucking cunt, that he's supposed to be friends with." You see, it's because you don't understand the context, because it does not translate after the initial impulse. This is why in schools of magic and the occult, the knowledge is really what's needed in order, someone can sit there and say, they can talk about Lucifer. So a Christian or someone who's ignorant about this stuff goes absolutely crazy when all they're talking about is the archetype of rebellious light, light throwing purity upon something, light throwing the truth upon something, and making everything that's hidden be seen. That's all that means. But to a Christian, always worshiping the devil or through a truth are the same thing as well. The initial impetus of this is often this kind of idea of the jester first. Remember, the Joker is the first card out of the deck, and also most games are played. Card games are played without the Joker, but the Joker's there at the side because you wouldn't have a deck of cards without the Joker. And what's the first card in the tarot? It's the Fool, which is also the Joker archetype. So all these people all over the USA started dressing up as clowns. And you had these clown flaps. And it caused an amazing amount of terror in American society. Why? Because they don't understand it. It's fear. It's a great fear thing. And so this terror, this fear, grows out of this. But the more fear that's put into it by society, you had people saying, "I'll shoot anyone." There's sick things. Most people wearing the clown outfits were just having a laugh. They don't really know why they did it, because they were actually agency of the psychic forces as the U.S. election was gathering momentum and coming towards its conclusion. They were the ones to herald the arrival of Kek. They were like Elijah in the Old Testament. They were the ones who were to create the situation where Kek would remanifest through the internet as a resurgent Egyptian god, and very successfully. Well, they call him Pepe at first. Now, Pepe is also a clown, which is amazing too when you think about it. And the Pepe version of Keck on the internet is a funny character. He's a funny character, so he's got a strong clown archetype to him as well. You kiss the frog, and it becomes a prince. You see, you engage with Keck, and the trump card is played. Look, you don't live in a world of anything but magic. You just don't, the East, you just don't live in your life is nothing else but magic. You just haven't been told this in school. Everything is symbolically crashing out of the subatomic field into your reality in all kinds of symbolism and archetypes, and then it spirals back out again. If you can stop, hold on to it, you can ride it like a ship, a sailing ship, or a surfer on a wave. So as soon as, in fact, I knew Trump was going to win, and if you look at my first video where I predicted he'd win, and I based that entirely upon the clown flap, because I knew the jester archetype was strong, and the jester archetype was Trump is just full of it. Plus Trump card Joker, that kind of thing. And the fact that the great fear of it was the fear and terror and hatred, a lot of hatred. Like some guy dressing up in a clown outfit in America was in danger of getting himself murdered. The hatred was shocking, but that hatred was mirrored by the same hatred that Clinton and other those types of people who were basically at that point they were corpses who had no future were showing towards what they called the deplorables, who again played that magic thing beautifully. Again, the jester archetype. You cannot beat the jester archetype. You cannot defeat the clown. You cannot defeat the positive clown. You see, the clown when it's inert is quite a negative, terrifying thing. But when people take control of the clown, it's like when good people take control of a spiritual tradition or of politics. It's a tool. It becomes a tool to be used. No one knew why they had the sudden urge to dress up like clowns, but they all did. They all did. Why? Because they were working on a script that was being prepared in outside this time space reality, and of course this led to the resurrection of the god Keck through the internet, and so the power was there. So the previous clown flap was a very interesting one. It was a minor one, but it took place in Northampton in England when at the same time that Alan Moore, the magician in that town where he lives, is writing a novel about clowns. It happened at the same time. Clowns started appearing at the end of the street. Also, at the same time, two strange lights started appearing in the sky over the town of Northampton. Look it all up, it's all there. Clowns are very significant, potent indicators of oncoming changes within the reality construct in terms of them signifying a mockery of the prevailing dogma and a glitch in the matrix that causes the new thing to jump in. And that was what happened. And that's why we got Trump in power in the USA. So every time you see a clown flap for the rest of your life, know this: something important is about to break.